am Amy Vetter, and welcome to the Breaking Beliefs podcast. This valuable time is for you to pause in your day and go on your own self-journey. Discover the beliefs that are holding you back from living your best life at work and at home. Learn from the guests on this show as they share their inspirational stories on how they found ways to break internal beliefs that were no longer serving them. Because if you believe you can, you will. And our podcast begins now. Jeremy Jones is our guest on this episode of the Breaking Beliefs podcast. Jeremy is a partner at the Frazier Deeter accounting firm located in Atlanta, Georgia. He also heads up the audit and assurance practice and has over 20 years of public accounting experience. During our discussion, we talk about how Jeremy grew up on a farm and how his belief systems have developed over time, have affected his career, and also his home life. He shares stories of how the feedback he has received over time have shaped him in the past, today, and into the future. Hi, this is Amy Vetter with the Breaking Beliefs podcast, and today I'm with Jeremy Jones from Frazier Deeter in Atlanta, Georgia. And you want to go ahead and give us a little background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, my name is Jeremy Jones. I head the audit practice at Frazier Deeter here in Atlanta. I've been with the firm since 2001. I lead the audit practice, but also have client responsibilities. So I work mostly with manufacturing distribution companies and then real estate and construction companies.
Okay. So how did you end up deciding on that specialization?
Probably by chance more than anything. When I graduated from the University of Georgia in the mid '90s and went to work for another firm and predominantly worked in manufacturing distribution and construction, and I love things, so it was always fun to see a manufacturing company develop something or a construction company build something. So it was like, no, that's what I like, and that's what I'm gonna stick with.
Yeah, one of my first jobs was with Ryder Logistics.
Oh yeah.
And we would go into warehouse. I'd be so excited to see. It's such a nerdy part of, but I just love seeing the operations, and then the more you go into, you figure out how you can fix them.
Yeah, I like calling myself a manufacturing nerd. So,
yeah.
I've gotten a lot of tours of plants just by telling people like, oh my God, I'd love to see your plant. I'm a manufacturing nerd. Show me how you do what you do. And, people eat that up. So it's great.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You never know what you're going to see being made.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So why don't you give me a little background, like how you got here today? Like, did you always want to be an accountant? Was this your dream when you were younger? Or how did you start out?
It's kind of funny. My story's kind of like yours, and I promise I'm not copying you. But I grew up in a small town in middle Georgia, lower to middle income parents. Father was a farmer. Mother stayed at home when I was younger. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, big drought in the southeast. My father lost everything to bankruptcy. And then he started working, in a what's called a kaolin mine. So it's like mining chalk. And so he was, kind of started at the bottom and worked his way up over the years. And my mom obviously went back to work, and she was a bookkeeper.
Oh, okay.
And, didn't really know what she did. But in high school, my senior year of high school, we were forced to take half a year of accounting. And so I took half a year of accounting and fell in love with it.
Really?
And so applied straight into the University of Georgia, into the accounting school, got into the accounting school, and that was kind of it. You know? And I knew I was going to be an accountant. And then my junior year, I did an internship in industry and didn't like it at all. I was going to the same office every day, doing the same thing.
Right.
So I decided to go into public accounting, and this is where I ended up. And it's been awesome ever since.
So then going back to your father, so he was a farmer.
Yes.
So is that where your path would have been?
It's funny because when I was probably 12 or 13, I remember, it was that day, that changes your life forever.
Yeah.
We were actually at my mother's parents' house and having lunch on a Sunday after church. And I remember standing in the kitchen actually getting ham or something.
Right.
And my grandmother's on one side and my mother's on the other. And they're like, you never will be a farmer. We are going to make 100% certain.
Wow.
And a week later, my dad and my grandfather had the exact same conversation with me. I guess I would have been 12. Well, because it was a hard life. I mean, it was very hard, and you're just dependent on so many factors, weather being, one of the biggest ones. And so to ensure that I wouldn't become a farmer, they put me to work on the farm at 12. And I did that for until I was 15, and then they put me to work as a mechanic because they didn't want me to be a mechanic either, even though that's a great reputation. So they made sure they beat any manual labor out of me early to go to college.
So did you enjoy the work?
I did. It was fun. It was fun. Right. But now I won't even cut my own grass, which makes my wife really mad. Our yard's not that big, but I'm not going to do it. I can hire people for that now. Save my time to do things I want
that you want to do in your life. Yeah. So, so you made the decision to become an accountant, and went down this path where audit is more interaction with clients, where you're not in the same office every day. During your path, what moments have you actually pivoted or changed, or your mindset's changed about something because you've been either faced in a way that you were forced to face it, or it was an observation or aha moment at a certain point in your career?
Probably the most pivotal for me would be the point I was a manager or senior manager, and should always know this. People are smarter than I am now, but where I realized it wasn't about me, and it was about the people and taking care of the people below me, and the way I dealt with them. And it wasn't. I don't have to be harsh to get the results I need.
So what happened? How did you, what was there an experience where
I got called some names by someone I actually respected who was below me, and you've actually met her today. She was in here earlier with us. And she pretty much let me know that was not the way to get the most out of her and out of others. And it really it changed the way I interacted, where instead of me expecting people to just go and do an audit and do what you're told, to actually think about them and their lives and what they have going on in their lives, and maybe tweak what I say and how I say it, and I can get even better results because they know I care for them, and I genuinely do care for them and always did. But sometimes it's hard when you're trying to get to the end results to show that. So
that's a really hard thing to face. So why that day were you more, was it the relationship you had built with her?
I think it was a relationship, and I think it was seeing how my demanding nature really impacted others.
Right.
And I can still be very demanding, and all 97 people that work in the audit department can say I'm very demanding sometimes, and I can be, but it is always for the best of the department and the best of the people.
Right, and there's having expectations of people, but still with care, where they know you care about them and so forth. And I think that's a really hard part about leadership, because as you go through the ranks, people don't speak up as much and give that feedback up, and so you start believing your own truths rather than actually listening to the people around you.
Yeah, I often joke, a little tongue-in-cheek joking, but being a partner is the loneliest place in a CPA firm. People don't want to have lunch with you. People don't want to talk to you. They're scared of you. Even if you're the nicest guy, they still are afraid, or the nicest lady, they're afraid of you. So
right, yeah,
it is a lonely place in the top.
No, absolutely. And there's a part of leadership where you've got to give bad news too. So there's always that line of
people hate coming to your office. Yeah, you have to preface everything with I'm getting fired. Please just come see me about a client.
Yeah. So how do you help people with that same shift that you had? Like, what do you notice that actually changes a belief system for them, or how do you get through to them?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's just being open and honest with people. And I years ago, after this experience, I kind of started a no butthole policy. So, it's, I try to spread that across my world. So with clients, with friends, and, push that down on all of our people and say, look, you don't want to be treated this way. Don't treat other people that way.
Right.
And if we all do that, you're going to be happier, healthier. Jobs are going to get done quicker and better than if people are miserable to show up to work every day.
Right. So is there anything you've had to shift from your career and personal life so that you're not overrun by work.
We're still working on that.
Yeah.
So, actually, this same time last year, I had a live 360. I don't know if you've ever done a live 360.
No, what is that?
It's so basically, and I don't recommend anybody do this, the format I do it, but it's a practice we've started here at Frazier Deeter where I will go into a room and I will have between 6 and 8 people in the room with me. Some will be my partners and others will be managers or people below me. And it's a chance for about an hour where they just download on me. Everything good, everything bad, what I need to improve on, how I need to improve, whatever it may be. And then the takeaway from that is I then have real actionable items I need to work on.
Right.
And so last year, during our training week, I sat in front of the entire audit practice. And
oh, wow.
It was hindsight's 2020 on that one. It might not have been the best decision, but I sat in front of the whole audit practice, and I had a group of people that I really consider trustworthy and open and honest give me feedback in front of everybody. So all that being said, delegation is a thing I struggle with. So that's something I'm still trying to work with constantly. And every one of those people on the panel said, you got to get rid of some stuff. You got to trust others.
Right.
And one person even said, I feel like you never trust me.
Wow.
And that was not the truth, but that kind of cut to
So
me.
what did you do to shift that after?
I just downloaded everything I had to.
You're like, now you just got more work.
No, she and I mean, we had some very deep conversations around, the trust factor and why she felt that way and why I never, gave her the stuff that she thought she could handle. And it did shift our relationship. And, I give her a lot more, I trust her a lot more with things now.
Right. Yeah. That's a really hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling.
And I think as far as any kind of feedback, whether it's client feedback, customer feedback, your coworker feedback, people get afraid to ask the question.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times I ask client or, other businesses and firms, do you ask your customers, if they're satisfied? And the answer is yes. And then when you specifically ask what they're doing, well, they come back.
Right.
And that isn't real feedback, because you really need to know what specifically you can improve and that people see that you care enough to action it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing when you give people the appropriate format.
Right.
To give upward feedback. We ask our people to give upward feedback twice a year, even up to partners, and it is anonymous. But when people get in that mindset and get in the routine of giving upward feedback, the amount of jewels you can pull out of that upward feedback is amazing.
Yeah. Has there anything that's been affected the business in total that you've seen?
In total, I mean, we're always, especially from our younger staff and younger generations, are always throwing out great ideas. Sometimes through the anonymous feedback because they're afraid of my reaction or our managing partner's reaction or some older partner's reactions. And they'll throw it into the anonymous feedback.
And what tool do you use for that?
We've shifted. It's different every year. It's different every year. The latest one we did through, basically it was just through a smart sheet, which is a technology we use, and people could actually upload into Excel what their thoughts were, and then it gave us the real feedback.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's been good.
Yeah. So how have you dealt with that as your career shifted and you've got younger and younger generations underneath you? That's got to break some belief systems as well, and how you lead or how you go about running a practice now.
It is hard, and we talk about it a lot, because the younger kids coming in, I shouldn't call them kids, but you and I are contemporaries, you understand this. The younger generation coming in, they see things through a different lens, and we saw it when we started our careers in public accounting.
Right.
And it's hard because we have to shift the way we work. We have to shift the way we expect them to work, the way we work with our clients, our expectations of clients. So everything has to shift. And, I struggle with it. My peers at the partner level struggle with it. Even some managers struggle with how do we motivate and keep them engaged and let them reach their full potential while staying in public accounting.
So is there a way you've changed how you've gone about that? Like I know... so I own a yoga studio, and I hired my son when he turned 16 to work at the front desk. And he came in because we do social media with our customers, and he's like, my friends are not on Facebook. And I don't know, old people are on Facebook. Like, why are you on Facebook? And I'm like, well, our customers are on Facebook. And so he's like, but you're not, like, none of my friends would ever know about it. So I put him responsible for Snapchat and, the social media things that we didn't really understand that they were using every day. So it's like trying to figure out how they've got really good observations.
Absolutely.
Because your new clients coming into the firm are going to be young. It's not just the people that work for you, it's the people that you're serving as well. So What have you seen as major shifts that you guys have had to do?
I mean, I think overall we've had to be more flexible. So, back when I started my career, it would show up at 8 o'clock and you stay till the job's done and don't show up.
FaceTime.
Yeah, I mean,
not,
it's FaceTime.
Not FaceTime.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So it's being flexible, no mandatory weekend works during our busy season, no mandatory Saturdays, not hounding people when they show up to work or when they leave, just give them flexibility there. So that's been a big shift. I think also...
And how do you feel about that internally? Like,
I still struggle a little bit at times.
So what's the struggle?
I mean, the struggle is, I'm here at 7:30. Why are you getting here at 10 o'clock?
Right.
I leave at 7 o'clock. You leave at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's jealousy.
Yeah.
If you want to really break it down and kind of psychoanalyze me, it's jealousy. And it's just different. They're wired different than we are, and so I've adapted to it. People show up past mandatory 9 o'clock start time for a training, and I kind of have to breathe deep and understand that they may have something going on in their life I don't know right now.
Right.
I
think that's an important thing as far as being a leader and how you have to work through your own way of believing work should be, is taking those pauses.
Yep.
Before you respond.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to, like, the minute they walk in late, you're looking at. Just make sure you realize that I know you're late. Yeah. So.
Say good morning to you.
Right. But do you notice they work differently? Because a lot of times,
they're smarter than we ever were, and that's one of the things. It's trying to get the younger generation involved with innovation and technology. I talked about it with our group yesterday. I need you guys to be driving innovation and technology, because those old people, even though I don't feel old, we're still living in, Windows 97, and they're in today's technology, and they're so much smarter and better.
I actually did Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah. I did too. I think that was the first one, and people are like, just Lotus. But that's for a different podcast.
Exactly.
But, I think that's another big shift, is just us just giving them the reins and saying, you have autonomy, you have freedom to go find new technology. It's not just technology, it's innovation. How do we work, better and smarter every day? Mm-hmm. And these guys have it down. We don't. They have it down.
Yeah. They're okay with delegating. They're with making sure that they've balanced everything.
They delegate up like nobody's business. It's amazing. Sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this now? But
so do you notice productivity being different, or like you're still getting the same outcome?
I think it's not the same outcome. I think it's different. I think sometimes, depending on what the tasks are, if they don't love the tasks, they don't do them as well.
Right.
And they'll freely admit, like, hey, I'm just not excited about this. And so if you want to excite me, give me something that excites me. Give me a client or an industry or just a task, even if it's a non-chargeable task, that excites me. And I will give you everything, and I'll do awesome. So it's
challenging for you to come up with...
And knowing everybody's different.
Right.
Every single person is different, and some people want to recruit, and some people want to train, and some people want to work on technology. It's just different.
Yeah, but it actually produces better things for the business in total.
Absolutely. It makes us all better. We just have to tap their potential and play.
Yeah. So going back to when you became an accountant, so you made a big shift from being a farmer.
Farm boy.
So how did you have the confidence to do what you did?
It was terrible.
Okay.
It was terrible. Like, there's no telling how many opportunities I blew coming out of college from recruiting. I mean, I grew up in a small town. Nobody went to college before me. I had no idea what this was about.
Yeah. So why did you blow them?
I just didn't know what to do. It's like back in the 90s, they weren't really coaching us up as much in school, so we were not prepared for the interview process, prepared for internships, prepared for the real world. Luckily, I got in with a local firm here in Atlanta that was awesome. I spent the first 4 years there, and it's a smaller firm, kind of tucked me in, taught me everything I needed to know, and then came to Frazier Deeter in 2001, so it was good.
So you started building confidence through that, or did you always feel
no.
I
still lack
viewing
confidence.
yourself as the coming from farming and not?
It took me a long time to get over that. I still don't have a lot of confidence, so let's not say I've gotten over it yet. It actually, my wife probably, I'll give her the credit. She probably got me over the hump more than anybody else.
What was the big thing?
So this is stupid, okay? And I fully acknowledge today, this was just completely irrational thoughts, okay?
Right.
But I guess from the time I was, 6 or whenever my father filed for bankruptcy, which there was nothing wrong at that point. A lot of people did. I lived in fear of being broke and living on the street and being homeless. And I carried that really probably into my mid-30s.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like if I made a decision and upset my boss, I would, in my mind, if I made a decision and it was wrong, I would be fired.
Yes.
And we would lose our house, and I would get divorced, and my kids would never talk to me, and I would be living on the streets for the rest of my life.
And you had to get yourself out of that.
Yeah, and my wife one day was like, really? You know how many steps it takes to go from where we are right now to where you think you're going? It's not like that happens in a day.
Right.
And, when she said that, I was like, well, you're an idiot. I think we were in a fight, It was like one of those big, fights. Like, why are you always like this, And she said that, and I was just kind of like, yeah, you're kind of right. It's a long way, and that changed my perspective and outlook on a lot of things. So then I had confidence to, hey, if I make this decision and my boss doesn't like it, chances are he is just going to say, you made the wrong decision. I think you should have done this, and move on. We're not doing brain surgery here, so it's okay.
So what kind of shift in your head did you? So she alerted you to the issue.
Yep.
But then what did you work on to get rid of the thought?
Well, I think every time that thought came into my mind, I would, have to tell myself, that's irrational. That's completely irrational thoughts you're having right now. So let's go and make the right decision. Mm-hmm. It may not be the most popular decision, but let's make the right decision that's best for everybody and implement it. And let's see what happens. And, you do a couple of those small tests.
Yes.
And maybe you make a couple of mistakes. Maybe you made a mistake and you didn't get fired. So it's like, I'll take a little bit bigger risk. I got that one right. I did the next one, and that was a bigger mistake. I got to pedal really fast to catch up from that, but it was okay.
Well, and I think that's a big deal in a lot of businesses, that people get branded for making a mistake one time, and then it's time for them to get promoted 3 years later, and they're like, remember 3 years ago when they... And so, for everyone personally and individually are going through those fear moments all the time of, should I actually speak up or do the right thing? Because if I screw up, then I'm going to be blamed.
Yep, absolutely. That's what we always joke in our performance management is we all have very long memories on mistakes and very short memories when it comes to all the great things people do. We keep bringing things up, and we've tried to do better as a firm and as an audit department of forget what they did 3 years ago. What have they done lately?
Yeah.
How are they doing? Have they improved? Are they still making these mistakes? And let's not bring up something that
there has to be a limit.
Because we've all screwed up a lot.
Right.
We're not perfect. Last week.
Right. That's the thing. As we go through, we become perfect.
Exactly.
But that's why, that 360 Live that you're talking about is an important thing, because you need your eyes opened. And I think a lot of times people don't do that because of their own fear of what someone will say, but it's like, wouldn't you rather know than not know?
Well, what we always say is, they're saying it anyway.
Right, exactly.
They're just saying it behind your back. It's better to say it to your face, and then you can do something about it. But you got to check your ego at the door. No matter how little you think your ego is, you're going to get crushed in a 360.
Yeah. Well, and your story reminds me that, we had lost everything young. And so from that time I was 16, I started working 3 jobs, but that carried into even after college when I had kids. Like, I couldn't let go of something else, some side job, just always have that backup plan, until finally my husband actually said to me, if this doesn't work out, then like it's not worth, like, you know, like if you can't make your full money doing your main job,
right,
then because this, you know, you're creating all this stress on yourself.
Right.
And again, that's when, you know, you can either get mad at the outside world for their observation, or you step back and you're like, okay, there's something to that, and I need to admit what's going on for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I want you to pick a category, and I'm going to ask you just some rapid fire questions. All right. So the category is family or friends or your teammates. So it could be one of those. Money, spiritual, or health.
Ooh. What does everybody else pick? And I'll go opposite of that.
Okay.
How about that?
So far, family and friends.
So far, family and friends. All right.
So
well, let's
you got
go,
money, spiritual, or health.
You pick. I'm good with any of them. I'll go. Let's not go with health because I have started working out and quit working out more than anybody. So I don't want to be known as a quitter on your podcast. So let's go one of the other two. I feel pretty confident with those.
All right. So money.
Money. All right.
Okay.
Money.
I love that you asked the question of what does everybody else
Well,
have?
you don't want to have to say
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
There, right? We all love our family. Our families are awesome.
All right. So money.
Money.
Things or actions I don't have that I want with money.
Things or actions I don't have that I want with money. I think to be as good as my wife is with budgeting and keeping everything on track.
Okay. Good one. Things or actions I do have that I want with money.
I am forced to live within a budget, which is what I want. Because no, it's great. People, my friends make fun of it. The guys here, you know, they all make fun of me because I walk in and I have like a wad of cash. They're like, man, you're loaded. You've got cash. And I'm like, nope, it's the first, and I got my allowance, and this is all I get for the next 15 days. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, my wife puts me on allowance, so I stay within my budget. I don't spend anything other than
And
my
it keeps
allowance.
the family happy.
Everybody's happy. That's right.
All right. Things or actions I don't have that I don't want with money.
Don't have excessive debt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Purposely went through a debt payoff years ago, and that's changed our lives and changed happiness when you're not worried about making a credit card or a car payment or whatever payment every month. It gives you a lot of freedom.
So did you go to a company to help you with that, or a consultant?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can give shameless plugs.
Yeah,
but
yeah, of
Dave.
course.
We did the whole Dave Ramsey. We did.
Yeah.
It was great. I could tell you a little story on that. I
Yeah.
almost got murdered by my wife. Actually, my wife is also. She's a CPA as well. So
okay.
you know, full disclosure there. But we went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University at a local church, and she was really into it. My wife Corey, she was really into it, and I was like, "Yep, all right, we'll go every Sunday afternoon, and we'll do this course." And so we did it, and it was fine, and we started kind of living, or she started living, and I was like getting pulled along.
Right.
And I had an opportunity to buy in to Frazier Deeter, more shares into Frazier Deeter. And the way we do it here is you basically have to bring the cash to the table or get your own debt or whatever. And so I went home one night and I was like all fired up because I'm like, hey, look at this. I'm getting to buy in more. And we're still like fairly young, and we didn't have much, if anything, at that point. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a loan, and here's how much it's for. And we had this like fire pit in our backyard, and we were like sitting around, and granted we'd had a few glasses of wine at this point, we're having this conversation, and she stands up, she's like yelling at me, and I stand up, and I thought she was about to push me in the fire pit. Luckily she didn't. And that was probably the worst fight we've ever had in our marriage, was over me taking debt on, as she had been working towards this, becoming debt free and doing Dave Ramsey. So we got through that, and then I realized that I don't think she was going to divorce me, but she may have. I don't know. But I realized that was very important to her, and I needed to make it very important to me. And I did that, and it made our marriage better. And then we got on board, and we actually went on the Dave Ramsey show and did one of the debt-free screams and all that.
Fun.
So that was kind of cool. We took the kids, and they were like, "You guys are nerds," but they were on the show, and it was cool. It was cool.
So, and I think that is a really important moment. Because as we start achieving things we're working towards, sometimes we have to step back and go, why do I want this? Is it ego? Or is it more that this is really going to help the family, or it's something, bigger than that. And that's a major decision to have to step back from, because you're like, oh, I'm part of the club.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to pay him more money.
Exactly.
So and then you have to really kind of strip that down.
Yeah.
And make sure, my wife's more important than that decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where we ended up, was like,
Yeah.
look, if we're going to make these decisions in life,
Yeah.
it has to be us making these decisions
Together.
and not you. And
Yeah.
we'll do what's best for everyone involved, not just for your ego.
Yeah. So what I take away a few things you've talked about, but one is, that whole confidence, even imposter syndrome, a lot of times that we go through, and as we go through our careers, I don't think sometimes we realize that fear that we have, that, maybe we aren't as good as we think we are, or there's a fear of losing our jobs. And especially when we're coming into this innovation age, fear of the unknown, and then making the wrong decision or playing it too safe and not really living to our potential. Yes. So, I think it's important. I'm so happy that you shared that, because a lot of people will look at leaders and be like, oh, he's always, he's confident, he's fine, and so forth. And then also being able to be open enough to allow that feedback coming in. That feedback isn't just one way, and that we're always better the more feedback we get.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would want to add, or that you would want people to find out more about Frazier and Deeter as well?
I'd probably say, one thing we've done here, and I think everybody should explore it, is trying to create a deliberately developmental organization, which is where people can come to work every day as their whole selves, and try to make the organization better by tapping into all those resources. That's really changed our culture internally for the good, and it's given a lot of people opportunities to make us better as a firm. So, I think that's people always need to be looking kind of outside the box at their organization, and what can I do to bring everybody in and to make us better. And that's just one of the things we've used. There's plenty of other things out there, but I think that's something everybody needs to be looking at as a leader, to understand your ego gets checked at the door, and all the people around us, our teams, are fantastic, and they'll teach us a lot if we let them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
This was great.
I appreciate you sharing it.
Absolutely.
All right. I hope that you enjoyed my discussion with Jeremy. I felt that he was really vulnerable and open about the ways that he has pivoted over time in his career. And now, time for the mindful moment, where we pause and just step back and reflect on the conversation before we go back into our day, to really take in some of the key things that maybe are actionable areas for us as well. One of the things that really struck me about my conversation about Jeremy was his openness to feedback, and how it has shifted his thought process, the way he leads, and the way he works with other people. And one of the things that he said was when he realized that it wasn't just about me, it was about them, his people, and that it was important to create an environment that he listened. And I really think this is an important thing as we move through our careers and gain titles, that for other people, they may not feel open to give us feedback. It's up to us as leaders to open up that environment so there can be upward feedback as well. Because if we're not open to that, we actually don't grow as well. And this is true in our home life as well. He talked about even getting feedback from his wife and ways he needed to take that in, observe it, and take action on it. So if you lead and not listen, what happens is the people around you aren't as comfortable and start feeling frustrated. And we have to really be open, or provide a culture where there's an openness to feedback, upward or downward or sideways, so that we can not only improve the business, but create more fulfillment in the work that all of us do, and enjoy the time that we have together. So I leave you with thinking about, how do you create an openness, a culture where people trust that if they do give you feedback, or if you need to give them feedback, It's not something that will hurt them in the future, that you actually can show that you grew and can show that they grew as well from the experience. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Breaking Beliefs podcast. I hope you will take a moment to pause before entering back into your day to reflect on this podcast and note 1 to 2 actions you are inspired to do from today's conversation that you could incorporate into your life. To read the full blog and listen back to this episode or any other, you can find them at www.amyvetter.com/Breaking Beliefs podcast and related videos on my YouTube channel. For daily inspiration, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Amy Vetter CPA. I hope that you will choose to like this and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and more so that you can join us for more inspiration on our next episode.